Alright, so we are back to the 3-hour news show on See Today. But this time you are watching our signature segment, See the Stories. Indonesia, as we know, is a democratic country. The system is administered from the people to the people, and that's why we should celebrate the International Day of Democracy, which falls today, September the 15th. Now let's find out more about its history. International Day of Democracy was established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007. The goal is to promote the government's role in maintaining open democracy among all UN Charter members and celebrating the democracy system while giving citizens the power to make decisions regarding aspects of their lives. There are many people and organizations globally, including government and non-government organizations, carrying out various initiatives to promote democracy on this day. From democracy's birth in ancient Greece thousands of years ago, up to this very day, the democratic foundation is the people's ability to participate in the decision-making process among their nation. Meanwhile, democracy is a form of government where all eligible citizens have the right to participate equally, either directly or indirectly through elected representatives in the law's proposal, development and creation. It also incorporates social, economic and cultural systems.
So I guess all of the nations here in the world are now facing the same problem, the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well as Indonesia, and like other populated countries like India or Brazil or even the United States, Indonesia is having the same thing. I mean, people are now questioning how the responsiveness of the democracy here in Indonesia, the government responses towards the pandemic and all that. But luckily, we have our very own president, Mr. Joko Widodo, who has this very style and demeanor that is very low profile, and he, can get, the job done. So I guess a lot of people are still hanging on that, and even though maybe some effects of the pandemic have created, socially, culturally, even economically, downfall here in our country. A lot of people still love the president and his administration.
Speaking of Joko Widodo, he got his name Joko We. Mm-hmm. Of course, we in French means yes, right?
Yes.
And you know the history behind. You know the history behind that, don't you? Where many businesses would always come to Joko We before he was a politician, come to him as a businessman, and he would get things done. Joko Widodo would always say we. So in other words, yes, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. Hence the name.
The man of actions.
We.
Yeah. That's cool.
Man of actions indeed. And the president himself makes us really, help us to really embrace the democracy itself.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Because through his actions, he's not just talking about his plans, but he's really executing them.
Yeah, I mean, Indonesia is not only democratic, but also very plural as well.
Yes.
So it's something to, not very easy to handle, I guess, as a big country.
Now, speaking of this year's International Day of Democracy, it features the theme that relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is strengthening the resilience of democracy in the face of future crisis.
Now, there's another type of democracy, which is the presidential democracy, in which the country's president has the utmost power over the government. Not only does the president own utmost power in the country, and they are chosen directly or indirectly by the citizens, the president and the executive government branch are not responsible to the legislative branch. They cannot disband the legislature under normal circumstances. The presidential system is to maintain the government's stability. The head of state represents the head of government as well. Few examples of countries with presidential democracy are the United States, Argentina, and Sudan. Yeah, so if you're, wondering what are the index for democracy, there are actually some aspects that we need to look at. For example, whether the national elections are free, and fair, the security of the voters, so whoever you vote for, the influence of foreign powers on the government, and the capacity and the capability of the civil servants to implement policy. And in case you're wondering, what is the most democratic country in this world? Right now, in the very top place is Norway.
Whoa.
Second place is Iceland. Okay, I'm gonna just mention the top five, right? Norway, Iceland, and then followed by Sweden, New Zealand, and Finland.
Oh, there are two Scandinavian countries
Yes,
there. Yeah,
that's
and
right.
their farewell level is very high. So democracy is best to be practiced in real life.
That's true.
I'm not surprised that Scandinavia would featured in that list. You mentioned two of the two,
Yeah.
right? Norway and
Sweden, that's right.
so Finland and Denmark were not on the list.
Finland, yes,
So
on the
three,
fifth.
three.
Yes.
There you go, three. Denmark was not.
No.
Not yet, maybe.
Australia is also not very far, like the bottom, like quite on the Big Ten, I guess.
Catching up. Yeah.
Catching up.
And we spoke about the presidential system of democracy. That is, if I remember correctly from my days back in high school about US government. Okay, you vote directly for the electoral college, and of course, the more electoral college you get, that will determine who is the president. He is the commander-in-chief of the nation. That is speaking on the federal level, but of course you also have the state level, where even in the state, even the governor's power, believe it or not, sometimes can actually overturn what is issued by Washington. How many cases have you heard where a state judge or a state court has overturned a ruling by the federal court?
Yes,
Many,
yes.
many times.
That's
If that's
right.
not pure democracy, I have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable that even at the state level can rise up to can even challenge the national
Yeah,
government.
maybe they know, like, I'm the local here, you're just the central government, so I know everything about,
What does Washington, D.C. know about?
Exactly.
Yes. So we're going to talk more about democracy. In a democratic system, people are entitled to basic rights that cannot be taken away by the government. And these rights are recognized internationally. Let's find out more about different democracy types, starting from direct democracy. In direct democracy, otherwise known as pure democracy, citizens have direct power. They decide on policies without any intermediary. They are also allowed to determine regulations directly without representatives or parliamentary assemblies. They may be done when the government needs to pass certain laws or policies. Direct democracy was developed in an ancient Greece and Rome. The system is still found in some of Switzerland's areas as well.
Direct democracy, so it
Yeah,
means
it's
like everybody has
interesting,
representing his or her own voices, his or her own rights, I guess.
I believe Indonesia's presidential elections in the past few decades is a perfect example of direct democracy where every individual's vote counts toward the actual result.
Yes.
So, unlike for example the US where you're voting for the electoral college, you here in Indonesia, your vote actually counts. It is tallied up at the very end of the day, and it's compared between one candidate and the other, and of course the majority wins. In
Yeah.
democracy, the majority wins.
That's true.